it looks like TikTok, perhaps the preferred buyer from Beijing's point of view, will be Elon Musk.
The debate over banning TikTok in the US is heating up, with concerns that the app's Chinese ownership could compromise national security by accessing users' data. But just as the tension rises, Elon Musk has stepped into the spotlight with a new app that some believe could replace TikTok. With millions of users fearing a ban, could Musk's latest move be the answer? Is the ban itself justifiable in the first place? Join us as we look into TikTok's ban in the US and the implications. The TikTok ban in the US. TikTok has become hugely popular as an app for fun, entertainment, and even education, depending on how it is used. The United States is no exception to its widespread appeal. However, the U.S. House of Representatives recently passed a bill that could force ByteDance, the app's Chinese owner, to sell TikTok or face a possible ban.
Keep TikTok! Keep TikTok! Keep TikTok! Keep TikTok!
Many U.S. lawmakers in the White House believe that selling TikTok to a qualified buyer, likely a Western company, would block potential Chinese influence. This vote marks a big step toward banning TikTok in the U.S. The bill, called the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act, passed with strong support, receiving 352 votes in favor and only 65 against. Why was the bill even initiated in the first place? Are there truly concerns that could have influenced this? Stay tuned, the most interesting part is still ahead. Lawmakers have raised serious concerns that TikTok could let the Chinese government access user data
to ban TikTok or other foreign-based technologies if they pose a national security risk
or influence Americans through its highly addictive algorithm. The White House fully supports the bill, with President Joe Biden saying he would approve it if it passes through Congress.
Why exactly do you want to ban TikTok?
The United States government influencing this country's political affairs.
But there is strong resistance from TikTok's 170 million U.S. users, nearly half of the country's population, as well as civil rights groups. These groups argue that banning TikTok would harm freedom of speech. Even with its strong start in the House, the bill still faces challenges. It must pass through the U.S. Senate, where lawmakers will continue to debate it. There is also a chance that competing versions of the bill could emerge, creating more obstacles. This issue is part of a larger struggle between the U.S. and China as Washington works to stop foreign influence in American affairs. Many U.S. lawmakers worry that ByteDance might be controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, even though the company has strongly denied this. It has repeatedly said it does not share sensitive user information with the Chinese government. ByteDance is described as a private company, but concerns remain due to China's history of tightly regulating its tech companies. The Chinese government is also known for censoring sensitive topics and blocking access to Western social media.
TikTok has stopped working in the United States as part of a blackout ahead of a law implementing its shutdown.
And websites with its strict internet controls, often referred to as the Great Firewall. Marco Rubio, the Republican vice chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, voiced strong concerns this week during an annual hearing on worldwide threat assessments. He expressed fears about companies in China, saying they are all under the control of the Chinese Communist Party, including ByteDance, the owner of TikTok. He also pointed out that ByteDance owns one of the world's most advanced artificial intelligence algorithms, which is used by TikTok in the United States. This algorithm collects data from American users to predict their preferences and show them videos accordingly. Many U.S. lawmakers and officials in the White House believe selling TikTok to a Western company would eliminate the influence of the Chinese government. The bill, however, goes beyond TikTok and extends its provisions to other apps considered to be controlled by foreign adversaries. It also addresses apps that use content recommendation algorithms or engage in data sharing agreements. This could potentially include other popular Chinese-owned apps, such as Temu and Shine, following the precedent set by Grindr. In 2020, the Chinese owner of the dating app Grindr was forced to sell it for $600 million due to concerns that user data could be exploited to blackmail Americans. While TikTok has denied the accusations against it, the company has struggled to gain the trust of U.S. lawmakers. The testimony of TikTok's CEO before Congress last year was widely seen as a failure.
Would be the appropriate age to have a child get on TikTok. The 8-year-old will not be able to post personalized feed and zero advertising in that experience.
As it did not ease concerns about Chinese influence over the app, the Chinese government owns a 1% stake in ByteDance and holds control over one of the 3 board seats in the Beijing-based company. Critics argue that the hearing failed partly because of lawmakers focusing more on dramatic questioning rather than addressing core issues. One incident during the hearing involved TikTok's CEO, a Singaporean who is also a military reservist, being questioned about his views on the Chinese Communist Party in a manner that some compared to the anti-communist fear of the 1950s. President Joe Biden has stated his support for a TikTok divestment bill, although there is an alternative proposal from Senate Democrats that is currently stalled in committee. The Senate's Restrict Act would give the Department of Commerce direct authority to ban apps controlled by foreign adversaries. In contrast, the House's Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act would involve the White House in initiating such actions.
That it's protecting Americans' data from foreign adversaries.
TikTok! Keep TikTok!
The Supreme Court's judgment on the ban and its implications. The U.S. Supreme Court recently ruled that the federal government has the legal authority to shut down TikTok in the United States, delivering a major blow to the popular video app that is used by nearly half of Americans. In April of last year, President Biden signed a bipartisan bill requiring TikTok to separate from its China-based parent company or face a shutdown in the U.S. TikTok challenged the ban in court, claiming it violated the free speech rights of both the company and its users. The legal battle escalated to the Supreme Court, which heard the case on January 10th. The decision means that starting January 19th, major tech companies like Apple and Google must remove TikTok from their app stores. Additionally, web hosting providers must sever ties with TikTok or face fines of $5,000 for every user still able to access the app, a penalty that could potentially amount to billions of dollars. The constant legal uncertainty surrounding TikTok has left many users confused about whether the app will eventually stop working. However, the Supreme Court has now confirmed the federal ban.
TikTok has more than 150 million monthly users in the U.S. alone, but faces growing calls for it to be banned.
The court recognized that TikTok is a unique platform that provides more than 170 million Americans with a space for expression, connection, and community. Despite this, Congress determined that separating TikTok from its parent company was necessary to address serious national security concerns related to its data collection practices and its connection to a foreign government. The court concluded that these measures do not infringe on the First Amendment rights of the app or its users. The justices noted that they were working under a very tight deadline and emphasized that their decision was specific to TikTok. They clarified that the ruling should not be seen as a broad precedent for other cases. They also acknowledged the expedited nature of the process, stressing that their analysis was focused solely on the unique circumstances of TikTok and its associated issues.
TikTokers are gravitating towards, and it's become #1 in the app stores and et cetera in the United States.
Anupam Chandra, a law professor at Georgetown University who has been closely following the TikTok case, observed that the Supreme Court framed its decision as specific to TikTok, though it could still have broader implications beyond the app's ownership. He noted that this decision is highly significant and grants Congress substantial authority to address data privacy issues.
For millions of American users, off limits from the Chinese government, but lawmakers counter. They say simply they don't believe it. They see TikTok.
The ruling comes after an emergency hearing where the justices seem doubtful that the free speech rights of millions of American TikTok users should outweigh the national security risks Congress has associated with China. Lawmakers are concerned that the Chinese government could use TikTok to spy on Americans or spread pro-China propaganda, even though there is no concrete evidence proving such activities. Justice Neil Gorsuch was the only one to express concerns about the free speech consequences of banning TikTok. He described banning the app as a way to address the potential China threat as a paternalistic approach. He suggested that a better solution for addressing problematic speech might involve countering it with opposing speech. He also mentioned TikTok's idea of including a disclaimer on the app to inform users that some content could potentially be influenced by China. However, U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar, representing the federal government, dismissed this suggestion with an analogy. She compared it to walking into a store where a sign warns that 1 in a million products may cause harm, emphasizing that such a vague warning would not effectively protect people or inform them of real dangers. Following the Supreme Court's decision, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre stated that implementing the law would now fall to the next administration. She explained that because of the timing of the ruling, the responsibility for carrying out actions related to the law would have to be handled by the incoming administration, which is set to take office on Monday. All attention is now focused on President-elect Donald Trump.
The short video app or face a ban in the greatest threat to the app since the Trump administration.
Before the oral arguments, he submitted a brief to the Supreme Court requesting a delay in their decision to allow his administration time to negotiate a solution addressing the national security concerns linked to TikTok. Trump, who had previously tried to ban TikTok during his first term without success, has since changed his stance and now wants to save the app. He has publicly attributed this shift to his belief that TikTok played a role in increasing youth voter turnout for him in the November elections. However, others have noted the timing of his change in position, which came after he met with a billionaire hedge fund manager whose trading group owns a significant stake in ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok. The TikTok ban is set to begin on Sunday, just one day before Trump's inauguration.
So we'll either close up TikTok in this country for security reasons, or it'll be sold.
Once in office, Trump could direct his Justice Department not to enforce the ban, creating a challenging situation for companies like Apple and Google, which would technically be violating federal law if they continued their business with TikTok. Another possible scenario is that Trump might choose to extend the start date of the ban, even though it is scheduled to begin on January 19th. During last week's arguments, TikTok's lawyer, Noel Francisco, suggested that the ban could potentially be paused in the days following its start, indicating that Trump's decisions after taking office could lead to a different outcome. Under the current law, the president has the authority to delay the ban for up to 90 days, but only if meaningful progress has been made towards separating TikTok from ByteDance. Trump went on to post on his social media platform, stating that while the Supreme Court's decision was expected,
How many different products made in China and nobody ever complained about it? The only one they complain about is TikTok.
And must be respected, he has yet to make a final decision on TikTok and will need additional time to evaluate the situation. During oral arguments, U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar stated that implementing the ban could provide the federal government with the leverage needed to push ByteDance and Chinese regulators to approve the sale of TikTok to an American company or group of U.S. investors. She explained that the restrictions could create a significant shift in ByteDance's willingness to consider a sale and could act as the necessary pressure Congress had anticipated to move forward with the divestiture process. What are the public officials saying about this? Are there people who oppose this bill? You're at the edge of your seat and it's about to get even better. Support in opposition to the TikTok ban bill. The House version of the bill that was ByteDance about 6 months to sell off its U.S. assets, or face a ban, as earlier said. But the process is still challenging, and with political pressures in the air, progress may take time. Support and opposition to the bill are not strictly along party lines. While some Republican senators like Rubio back the TikTok ban, others like Senator Rand Paul have promised to block the bill, calling it unconstitutional. Senator Kevin Cramer from North Dakota also mentioned that progress may be slow in the Senate. Former U.S. President has also changed his position, opposing the ban now, unlike when he was in office. The federal government and several states, including Montana, have moved to restrict TikTok, with Montana becoming the first state to ban the app outright, although a legal challenge is ongoing. When this happened last year, some pointed out that the bill, although not directly banning TikTok, was as good as a ban. This is because Beijing is unlikely to approve TikTok being sold to a Western or US-friendly company. One reason for this is that TikTok is the first global internet platform from China. The Chinese government has long pushed for greater control over international discourse in promoting China's narrative. However, many of the platforms used to do this have been US-based, such as YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. TikTok, in a way, breaks this hold and gives China a larger voice in global media. Beijing has shown resistance to the idea of giving up this influence and has made it clear it will take all necessary measures to protect the interests of Chinese companies. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce has called on the U.S. to respect market economy principles and fair competition, urging Washington to stop unfairly targeting foreign companies. They emphasize that China would take every necessary step to defend its rights. In 2021, the University of Toronto's Citizen Lab studied TikTok and its Chinese counterpart Douyin and found no clear evidence that TikTok engages in political censorship of posts. Neither TikTok nor Douyin exhibited harmful behavior typically seen in malicious software. Author Pelion Lin pointed out that Douyin and TikTok share the same underlying source code, which is then customized for each market. Both platforms also have content restrictions for certain labels, such as hate speech, suicide prevention, and sensitive content. On Douyin, some political keywords are restricted, but this is not the case on TikTok. Lin observed that these customizations can be turned on or off through server configurations, raising concerns that this feature might be used to activate hidden capabilities that could violate privacy, though it couldn't be fully confirmed. Additionally, TikTok's highly addictive nature has raised alarms about its potential harm to children, although some critics argue that other social media platforms, like Instagram, pose similar risks. TikTok users have also not taken it lightly. Many, especially content creators who depend on the platform to earn substantial monthly incomes, have strongly opposed the bill. Civil and digital rights groups in the U.S., including the American Civil Liberties Union and the Electronic Frontier Foundation, have also raised concerns. The ACLU's National Security Project argues that banning TikTok, directly or indirectly, would violate the First Amendment by suppressing free expression and blocking public access to essential information. They stress that the government should only be able to impose such an extreme ban if it's absolutely necessary to prevent serious and immediate harm to national security. Many people argue that there is no clear evidence showing that banning TikTok is necessary to protect national security. Even if such evidence were found, they believe a total ban wouldn't be the only solution. Unlike the European Union, the United States still does not have a unified federal data privacy law, something that could help solve many concerns about keeping user data safe. Some people also point out that TikTok works very similarly to other social media platforms like X, which used to be called Twitter, and Meta-owned Facebook and Instagram. While these platforms have their own problems, such as Meta being fined $1.3 billion by the European Union last year for breaking privacy rules, critics think that banning TikTok alone would be hypocritical since other companies do similar things. TikTok is being watched closely all around the world. Countries like Nepal and India have already banned the app. India's ban is mostly because of its ongoing tensions with China. Many countries, including Afghanistan, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Taiwan, the United Kingdom, and EU governing bodies have banned TikTok from government phones. Countries like Pakistan and Indonesia have also been unsure about how much they should limit access to TikTok. The European Union, known for regulating tech companies from Silicon Valley, could be the next big challenge for TikTok. In February, the EU began an official investigation into TikTok, focusing on content, advertisements, and how the app might affect young people. The company has already been fined $370 million by the European Union for breaking privacy laws. Internet's reaction to the TikTok ban. Many people online are upset about the possible TikTok ban. What's interesting is that there are many different reasons for this strong reaction. One of the most common reasons, especially among TikTok users, is concern about how the ban would affect their ability to make a living. There are a lot of videos and posts on the platform, and they've received millions of views showing the worry about losing their income. But beyond these personal concerns, there are also many posts discussing the political side of the issue. Some people think that the United States might be trying to control social media networks. Others argue that TikTok represents a place for free speech and stands against government control, sharing songs and videos that highlight issues like the problems in the U.S. healthcare system. What are internet people saying about this situation? What about the citizens who use TikTok as a source of livelihood? The drama is about to unfold, don't miss it. The interesting part of the public reaction to the news of a TikTok ban is that despite the different reasons for the outrage, there is one thing that connects all these reactions: the confusion between the U.S. Constitution's promise of free speech and what freedom on the internet actually means. The internet, when it first grew in popularity, was seen by many as a new way for people to express themselves freely. Many felt that the freedom of speech online was a positive force, even seeing it as a way to bring back democracy and create stronger communities. Looking at the internet this way, it becomes clear why many people feel that social media platforms like TikTok are an important part of their right to free speech, similar to how the US Constitution protects freedom of expression. This idea of online freedom has led to the United States having fewer restrictions on internet content compared to other places like the European Union. In fact, the US is often seen as one of the most relaxed countries when it comes to regulating the internet. While it is true that obscene content has been censored, in services like Napster, WikiLeaks, and the Pirate Bay, which clearly broke intellectual property laws, were shut down, the internet has generally remained open in the United States for the average person. This openness is in stark contrast to countries like China, where the government frequently blocks access to websites, including major ones like YouTube, the New York Times, and Wikipedia. The US has always seen itself as a defender of free speech, a right that is enshrined in its constitution and deeply embedded in its cultural identity. This openness to free expression is what makes the potential TikTok ban feel so unsettling for many. TikTok is not accused of doing anything blatantly illegal, so the idea of banning it leaves people with a strong sense that something isn't right. It feels like it goes against the very principles that the United States has stood for, especially when it comes to the freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution. At a surface level, the reasons for anger and frustration vary, but beneath it all, there's a deep sense of unease as people grapple with the conflict between their national identity and what their government is doing.
We will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense.
The right to free speech is central to the culture of the United States, and the internet has been a place where that freedom is meant to thrive. Without clear and undeniable evidence that TikTok has done something wrong, it's understandable that so many people are upset and confused about the potential ban. Many feel that this is an unjust move, one that undermines the values that Americans have always held dear. And until there is undeniable proof of TikTok's wrongdoing, it seems likely that many will continue to feel frustrated and angry about the situation.
Take it away to the dark side. I wanna be your left-hand man.
The emotional weight of the issue is not just about the app itself, but about the bigger question of how the government's actions align with the principles that define the United States. What do you think about the TikTok ban? Can the ban still be lifted? Let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.